What's up, y'all? It's Jordan Stupar, the host of the Jordan Stupar Show. You have made it to another episode, and today I am extremely pumped because I got an awesome guest. But real quick, if it's your first time here, I want to let you know that you are in the right spot. If you're into things like sales, you want to make more money, things like entrepreneurship, business, a little bit of marketing here and there, and of course, the pursuit of happiness. Today, I've got an awesome guest. I usually have my co-host Dale Velasquez on here, but you'll see here in a moment that I got a different person. He's a younger guy that works for me. He's my sales experience manager, and his name is Brock Wooten. What's up, Brock? Welcome to the show.
Appreciate it. I'm glad to be here.
How you doing, dude?
Doing fantastic. Been a long time coming.
Yeah, dude. Is sitting in that chair, taking a little time off the phones better than being on the phones?
Oh, I don't know. That's a great question. I should probably be on the phone.
Don't act like you like it, dude. Nobody really likes sitting in front of the computer making calls.
For sure. Well, it depends on who you're talking to. If you're talking to the right people, it's fun.
That's a fact.
At the end of the day, if you're having a great conversation with somebody, nothing beats it.
That's a fact.
If you're just hitting voicemail after voicemail after voicemail, it does get a little bit mind numbing. But
that grind.
It's a part of it, man.
That's part of it, dude. It really is. And obviously you're definitely in it in the trenches doing it every day. But
yeah.
the main reason why I wanted to have Brock on here is because I promised Brock several months ago that when he made $10,000 in a month, he'd be invited onto the podcast.
Yeah.
And apparently, I saw your paycheck because I wrote it.
Yeah.
I think you took home like $11,000 and some change last month.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, dude, that feels pretty good. Congratulations.
Yes, sir.
The other thing I want to highlight in this podcast is especially for you younger listeners, and by the way, there's plenty of you guys much older than Brock that probably still haven't cracked 11 grand in a month. So there's going to be a lot that you can learn from Brock. I know this because he's actually really, really smart. So pay attention and listen up. My guy Brock has got some gems and some words of wisdom for you. But the first thing I want to cover is how on earth did you end up in Wisconsin working at Stupar Enterprises? You're not from here.
Yeah, no. So I started here in September, technically. I was out in Colorado, but October is when I officially started here. Before that, I was selling luxury hot tubs. Fun stuff.
Super fun. That was retail.
Yeah, that was retail.
So you're sitting around in a hot tub store.
Waiting for people to come in.
And how much were those hot tubs?
Man, they would range anywhere from $10,000 to $25,000.
10 to 25 grand for a hot tub. And the other interesting thing that I learned, because we were working together at that time, is that if somebody decided to spend 25 grand on a hot tub, how long did they have to wait for that hot tub to actually arrive?
32 to 34 weeks, so approximately 8 months.
So you're trying to tell me that the degree of difficulty doing what you were doing was probably pretty high.
Very.
Because I bought a hot tub, and I got it delivered I don't know, next day.
Yeah, something like that. I mean, I would assume.
If I had to pay 25 grand for a hot tub and wait 30 weeks for it, I wouldn't do it. There's a whole lot of other things that I'd rather do with that 25 grand. So kudos to you. You, how did you get inside the sales acceleration program?
Yeah, so
How did you find me?
Yeah, so I was inside of Closer School Live. Some of you might be familiar with it. Brad Lee.
Shout out Brad Lee.
Yeah, he introduced me to the cash cards. I was the young kid inside of his Closer School. I was talking to him actually, and I mentioned something about wanting to drop some flashcards, asking him some ideas of what I should put as the objection and how to handle it. Just kind of picking his brain on that. He's like, dude, don't even worry about that. Jordan, take a look. Cash cards online, look them up. I purchased them. Used them for a few weeks, started to notice that my sales were increasing. I was feeling a little bit more confident when handling objections. And I picked up the Stupar Sales Academy. Back then, it was $99 a month or something like that.
Yeah, that was a deal.
Yeah, tossed it on the credit card and rode that for a minute. I think it was 3 months that I was on there. And I was like, dude, this is working. I think I got a 30% increase in my sales month over month or something like that. And then I was like, okay, obviously there's something to this. He knows something that I don't. I have to be a little bit more aggressive with this. So I paid $5,500 on the credit card. And
at 19 years old.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money at 19.
Yes, sir.
So you joined Sales Acceleration Program. Then what happened?
Well, after working with you for, I think it was two months in. Of course, because I was in retail, there was some things that were a little bit more difficult to apply, and because the management wouldn't allow me to do some of the things like the selfie videos, shooting out memes. I couldn't use my personal cell phone number. So there was some restrictions there as far as the creativity that I think would have allowed me to go farther, but I doubled my sales regardless, just based off of the content, the FAB plus question mark, and all of those things that you had taught me. And yeah, I ended up doubling my sales. Then I asked to work for you.
Yeah, and he fired off a meme to me. Explain that meme real quick. This is the thing that kind of got my attention.
Yeah, so I shot him a long paragraph text, and then I realized, that's probably not going to land super well because who wants to read a paragraph? And so I just sent him a meme with a Porsche doing a wheelie saying, "This is how you'll feel after you hire me," because I knew that he liked Porsches. I mean, how could you not know that?
Exactly. It blows my mind how many people have the audacity to reach out to me
not use Porsches.
Yeah, and they're just like, all it takes is a Porsche meeting, and we can schedule a Zoom call. If you're listening, that's how you approach me. But I hired you, and then very shortly after, you jumped in your Toyota Prius. You had an oil change. I remember this little story.
Yeah.
And what happened real quick, just for anybody out there who is thinking about the real reliability of a Toyota Prius.
Yeah. Shout out to Toyota real quick, because those Priuses, man, they're built well. It has like 235,000 miles on it and still kicking. But yeah, so I was driving out here to Wisconsin like the week before I had gotten an oil change, and I just got like the cheapest one I possibly could, probably why I got this result. But driving out here, my car made a giant flashing noise. It was not like a beep, beep. It was a beep, like a really loud beep with a giant triangle on my little console thing. And it said low oil. And I was like, there's no way.
Yeah, you just got an oil change.
I just got an oil change. So I pulled into a Walmart. And because I was in the middle of nowhere in Iowa, I found I think it was like 15 miles away. So I was driving like 20 miles an hour on the freeway when everybody else is flying past me going 65, 70 miles an hour. And I'm just like holding up traffic, just trying to get to my destination. And the whole way just beep. And I finally got there, got the oil change. They told me that there was pretty much no oil inside of.
So the point that I'm trying to say, for you guys shopping Toyota Priuses, you can basically run cross country with no oil in your car.
But don't do it for legal purposes.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't recommend it. Neither would Toyota. But anyway, you make it to Wisconsin, and by the way, you were 19 when that happened.
Yeah, 19.
You were 19, so super young. And one of the things that obviously I'm trying to focus in on this podcast, the direction I'm trying to take it, is, dude, one of my biggest recommendations I would give to anybody that's 18, 19, 20, younger 20s, is get out from the place that you're at right now. Yes, you can probably be successful, find a job and all that and blah, blah, blah when you're at home. Yeah. But what have been some of the takeaways for you of, leaving your parents and kind of getting away from the friends and being in an unfamiliar space and this isolation that we talk about a little bit?
Yeah, so I think that one of the most important things is kind of losing all of the comforts that you had and really stepping outside of your comfort zone. Mm-hmm. It really gives you the opportunity to test yourself and not just test yourself, but really figure out whether or not you were as responsible as you thought you were. Because a lot of times you think, I'm so responsible, until stuff really hits the fan.
Yep. And
you really have to figure out, okay, what am I going to do in this situation? And that's something that I think moving out here really did to me, was it forced me to have to realize that I'm out here by myself. I have to take care of everything. Got to take care of my cat. Got to take care of my place. Got to make sure it's clean. Not letting things get too out of order. At the end of the day, one of the things that I think I really realized is that when you go and you isolate yourself, you're able to kind of figure out where your weaknesses are and where your strengths are.
That's and it allows
to know. You, yeah, for sure. And it allows you to really figure out where you see yourself and what ideals you have, and removing you from all of the other noise. Because when you're isolated, you don't have everybody else telling you what you should and shouldn't be doing.
Yeah.
You have to listen to your own voice.
I think it gives you an opportunity to become your own person.
For sure.
and you're not really necessarily taking the advice or under the influence of the other people around you, which is something that I think that you were probably naturally good at anyway, because Brock, as he's sitting, is 20 years old. He came and worked for me at 19, and obviously you were selling hot tubs before that, so it doesn't sound to me like you went to college.
No, I definitely did not.
Which obviously is not the traditional path, and obviously a decision you didn't make under the influence of probably everybody else telling you. So how did that work out? Why didn't you go to college?
Yeah, I didn't go to college because my freshman year, I think it was the last quarter, I kind of made the decision that it wasn't going to be for me because I talked to some people who had gone to college and they were, 30 plus, 40 plus, and they were all telling me, oh yeah, I still have some student loans still remaining, collecting, interest, and I'm still paying it down. And that just was like, wait, what?
What?
Like college didn't fix all your problems and just put you on this happy go.
You're not a millionaire yet?
Yeah, you didn't just go on this amazing roller coaster ride where you just ended at retirement and you're super happy. What? That's crazy. And so I started looking around, and it seemed like the people who knew what they were, or that were at least financially well off, were the people who were owning businesses, who were investing in sales, doing something that wasn't your typical, let's go to college, get a 9-to-5, and then just ride that till I can barely scrape up enough money to retire and live modestly in a society where modesty really doesn't necessarily, at least modesty at the level of what I'm talking about, doesn't really make you happy. It doesn't give you the opportunity to do the things that you want to do. It doesn't give you the opportunity to take care of the people that you want to take care of, family, kids.
Yeah, or even yourself.
Or especially yourself.
I remember making 45, 50 grand a year, which is a average income for an individual here in the States. Dude, it's miserable. You have no options. You can occasionally have a little bit of fun, but the fun that you have is, you're looking at the right side of the menu when you go out to dinner instead of the left side. Can I afford that? Is that something I want to do? And I'm really proud of you for making that distinction at such a young age, because so many people your age at that time are like, okay, I'm going to call Fannie Mae. I need 100 grand. Put me in debt for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And then give me a shitty job that gives me 50 grand a year that'll never pay off those loans.
Yep.
And you avoided that completely.
And then there's other traps, like, if you have student loans and you buy a house, then you buy a nice car, and then
you're screwed for the rest
nice
of your
wedding,
life.
and then it's like you're already piled up in debt.
And then God forbid you have a kid.
Yeah, and then you have a kid.
Oh, you're
mercy.
done.
Yeah,
you're done. You're on the canvas,
done.
bleeding out, tapping out. You're done.
Yep.
So you avoided all that. You got into sales. Now you're here. You're making $10,000-ish per month.
Yeah.
Obviously, you have a whole lot of time laying in front of you to continue stacking and making good decisions. I would say one of the main reasons why I had the peace of mind of hiring you and making that right decision is obviously you invested in yourself at a young age, so you were taking your success seriously, which we'll get to in a second. But one other thing that I want to highlight, and one of the advantages that you have versus pretty much anybody else that I would look at hiring, and we get videos and applications all the time, and most people can't communicate very well.
Yeah.
You do that really well, even at a young age. Was it always like that? Is it something that you worked on? How did you, start sounding like the way that you sound right now?
So I actually grew up in a family where I wasn't around a lot of kids. I was around mainly adults, so if I wanted to have any kind of socialization, it was communicating with adults. And so that forced me to not communicate at a younger level. I had to reach up to communicate. And so the conversations that they were having, if I wanted to participate, it wasn't like, oh, let's talk about my favorite toy. No, it's like, talk about
stocks and bonds.
Yeah, to a certain degree. Talk about those kind of things that actually have interest of the people who I was around. And I think that forced me, as well as in high school, I would get into debates, and I just really liked the idea of communication, and it was always something that fascinated me is how we can exchange ideas, and just kind of went from there. And it was just something that everybody, when I took my speech class, my teacher mentioned, whenever I shot videos, it seemed like I was pretty comfortable getting my ideas across. I could stitch a sentence together well enough to get it across, and it wasn't too, I guess, choppy.
Dude, so many people have an issue with that.
Yeah.
I was just on a Zoom call with a guy trying to acquire my business to be one of our, freelance copywriters or something. And literally, man, like, it was embarrassing how how deficient he was in being able to just form a sentence one time. Like, it was just super choppy. And dude, how am I supposed to be confident in moving forward with you if communicating is just that difficult for you? So, I mean, in sales, that's 50% of it, as I say, is just being able to speak. Because, that's what you have to do if you're selling. Obviously, the rest of it, we can continue to nurture you and teach you. But I felt really confident in hiring you just based off of that, because I knew that worst case scenario, you're going to be able to communicate to somebody.
Yeah.
So that's important. The other thing that I wanted to touch on that I think you can give specifically our younger audience is obviously back like hundreds of years ago, there was obviously like a passage or the right of way as a man where you go from boy to man. And that would be like, I don't know, killing your first like meal, taking it home to the family, or getting married at like 15 and having kids at a young age. Like, you're a man like now. In today's society, dude, it's almost impossible, to like put your finger on that one thing where it's like, okay, Brock went from a boy to a man. No doubt you're a man. You're a young man at this point, being 20 years old, but you're a man nonetheless, and you're standing on your own 2 feet. You're making your own income. You own your own condo downtown Milwaukee. You don't have a salary or a base. Like, everything that you've earned is 100% you. What are some of the distinctions from your journey going from a boy to a man? Where do you feel like that kind of clicked for you?
So I would have to say that it really happened when I made the jump to come out here, because before I was still around family, still around friends, and when I made the jump to come out here, it was nobody. I mean, of course, I had the people here in the office, but y'all had your own lives. I couldn't expect you guys to drop everything and be my nest or whatever. So I really had to rely on myself, and I really think that every boy going from boy to manhood should have some point of isolation. They should have some point where they aren't being supported as much as they had been in the past, which makes them go through a rough spot or a dry spot. Because I feel like if you have, like, when you peel back the layers of the onion, you really get to the core. And that's kind of what removing family, friends, those comforts, that what it really does is it allows you to do that. And then you're also able to build up the lifestyle that you want in the direction that you want. Like, what you see working best for you and for your future family, you're able to build that. And you're able to kind of get that start and put it on that trajectory, because up until that point, you may have gotten to the point where now you're in isolation, but now you're kind of deciding where to aim that bow. And then you're kind of like pulling back, and that's what that isolation is. And I think that, the isolation was probably the best thing that I could have possibly gone through.
100%. And I talk about it sometimes too. When I was in Miami, I was 25, 26 years old when I first got down there. I had no family, no friends. My job was 100% commission as well. And, I'm in debt and blah, blah, blah. And I made a decision, as I've told you before, that I'm not going to date anybody. I'm not touching no butts. I'm not kissing no lips. I'm not texting exes. I'm not going through Tinder. I've deleted all that stuff. And I told myself I would have no female sexual attraction relationship until I had $100,000 in the bank. So for 17 months, I was in isolation too. And it was miserable. Absolutely miserable.
For sure.
But like you mentioned, I would say that was probably one of the most, if not the most, beneficial time of my life of figuring out who the hell I even am.
100%.
And I'm assuming that that's what happened to you when you moved here and you didn't have any friends, family. You're just like, okay, I guess I'll just go to the office and then go back to my apartment and spend time by myself.
Exactly. And it also kind of forces you to, when I first came out here, I didn't know anybody, so I would go home, and of course I wasn't studying every single night, all night, but it made it to the point to where it was almost, it was almost irrational for me not to do something at night.
Right.
And even just the thinking about work.
Yeah.
And it forced me to kind of go into myself, and figure out some of the things where my weaknesses are, where my strengths are.
Yep.
And I think that really allowed me to develop kind of a better idea of where I'm going, how I'm going to get there, and overall just who I am as a person. It allowed me to figure out some of my hobbies, what I want to do. I mean, I'm still exploring all those options, but it definitely set me on a path where I feel a whole lot more secure in myself, because regardless of whether or not, that was my rock bottom, was that isolation. Like, I've been through something where I was alone. I didn't have a whole lot of support. And then if that was to happen again, I know that I could get through it again.
Easy.
Because I've been through that, and I would look back at that and I would see, okay, this is what I did to restructure a life. How can I, let's see what I have in front of me, put the pieces together that I can, and then work from there.
I love it. And it's just like, I feel like talking some shit on any of you that are like Brock's age and still living with your parents or something. Like, Brock is like so far ahead of you just based on making some of those hard decisions. And of course, suffering through the consequences of making those decisions. And a lot of people don't want to suffer those consequences even for just a couple of months like you did to get to the point where, I can make 10, 15 grand a month at a young age, own a condo, have your shit together, for lack of better words. And so I think that's really incredible. And, I'm pretty jealous and everything, because when I was 20, I had no attention on skill development. I had no attention on developing work ethic and discipline. I had no idea about the stock market or crypto or real estate. I could care less. I was just chasing skirts and trying to make just enough sales to go party at night and rinse and repeat. And so I'm always jealous of like people that are like 18, 19. They're like, yeah, dude, like I made 150 calls today and I'm going to a seminar and I'm reading. Have you read this book? And I'm like, what the hell?
I wasn't introduced to that in like 27.
I didn't even know that realm even existed, bro.
No, it's crazy how, like, when you talk, like whenever I talk to people my age specifically,
they don't
have conversations with them, and I'm like, so have you ever read this book? And they're like, what? Why would I read that book?
How to Win Friends and Influence People?
Yeah, it's like even the ones that are just like introductions, like Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Yeah.
Like just basic books.
His name is Guy. I won't take his advice.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, you idiot.
It's crazy how this stuff isn't taught inside of colleges. Just to kind of circle back to that. That should be the foundation of our education.
I wholeheartedly agree. Because
I think there are a lot of things that are focused on in college that should not be the focus, especially a lot of these things on more so focusing on emotions and the little day-to-day things. I think we should be really, really focused on teaching people to be good financial stewards.
Yeah.
Because if they are able to financially hold themselves together, that's going to allow them to go out and acquire the knowledge that they need to fix the other problems in their life.
100%. And it's about being self-reliant. Like, just like we said, the passage from boy to man is just like, you can stand on your own 2 feet.
Yeah,
You're not expecting anything from anybody else.
You don't need the government.
Require any that too. It's like,
I need a stimmy check.
Yeah, can I get a stimmy, please?
Yeah.
I want to go buy a new pair of shoes. It's like, it's just really disappointing to see society at large as a whole not even understand half the shit that you know. Which is why I got excited about bringing you on, because I know this about you. And, if you're out there in the audience, Brock probably knows more about real estate than you. He probably knows more about financial tools of, banking, stocks, bonds, crypto. He probably knows a whole lot more than you guys do about that. And I'm assuming that not a lot of you guys are probably a whole lot older than he is, or younger or anything. Brock's a smart guy because he's made a commitment earlier on to learn some of this stuff and to forego getting a bachelor's degree and a communication degree or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you ended up actually being able to communicate better than people that have a 4-year degree in communications.
Yeah, I was on the phone with somebody the other day who got a communications degree.
Oh, God.
And now they're getting into sales, and they're picking up the objection handling flashcards because they don't know how to communicate.
Because they don't know how to respond to an objection. well, what do you need to think about?
Yeah. Yeah,
And now you've got a path and a route. And the other thing that I will say to the audience as well is obviously Brock he spends 90% of his day here, sales, doing sales stuff. But Brock is probably my go-to guy. I called him the golden boy around here in the office because I think out of everyone that works here, even despite the fact that he's young, I think he does the best job out of anybody here, really taking the way that I would teach somebody and duplicating it to other people. Like, for instance, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, you take care of our SPADE members, our Sales Productivity and Distinguished Excellence group. People jump on a Zoom call. They get to spend an hour with you, just simply role-playing objections, asking questions. And you do an unbelievably good job of leading them through not just what to say or even how to say it, but why. And that's a gift that I was given, and I think that you've got that same gift, and you do it extremely well. So I will say, in a little plug in here, if you want to do some unbelievable role play, and you want to have an opportunity of learning what to say, how to say it, and why, you should definitely work with us, and you'll get plenty of attention from Brock. I mean, just give me a quick example of I know that there's some people that work a little bit more directly with you, like Joe, Carter. What type of results have you seen with those types of folks?
Yeah, so I mean, with Joe and Carter, they had their absolute best month. I think it was the first or second month that they were there. I think they doubled what their previous record was.
Yeah.
Shout out to them. They're actually in Aruba right now. So just of course, living it up like our Spades members do.
Yeah.
And then also we had a guy, Tyler. He in the first 2 weeks got his entire year worth of value.
Whole ROI.
Right there.
Yep.
$14,000.
Like season tickets.
Yeah,
to
bought season
Notre
tickets to Notre Dame. Dude's just like, all right, cool.
Killing it.
Yeah, I'm good.
Killing it.
Yeah.
So, of course, a little plug. If you're interested in developing your skills with actual time and intention from a team and accountability, definitely hit up Brock at jordanstupar.com. He'll get you taken care of and make sure that you get all the information that you need to make the right decision. But I digress on that little shameless self-promotion. What would you say, Brock, as we kind of wind this thing down, what would you say a good solid piece of advice would be to somebody that's 18, 20, 25, feeling a little bit lost, not really feeling like they're on the right track? What would you like to say to those folks?
Yeah, I would say that the best advice that if I could go back, let me put it this way. If I could go back and tell myself advice when I was 18, what I would tell myself is make sure you pay attention to who you're listening to. If you would be willing to, let's say you get financial advice from somebody, if you'd be willing to change financial shoes with them at their age, follow that advice. That's great advice, follow it. If you wouldn't be willing to, disregard it. Same thing with any other aspect of their life. If they have a great marriage, follow their relationship advice. If not,
maybe
discard
think twice.
It. Yeah, think twice for sure. And just make sure you're paying attention to who you're surrounding yourself with. It's very, very easy at a young age to kind of just stick with the crew because they're who you're comfortable with and you click well and it's easy to talk to them. But sometimes just because it's easy to talk to them doesn't mean that you're in the right room.
Yep.
And if you ever feel like you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
That's for sure. I like going into the right rooms all the time where I'm the brokest business owner or I'm the dumbest person when it comes to crypto or whatever. I'm always trying to figure out how to get around people that have the information that I'm looking for.
For sure.
And that's, obviously something that we do for salespeople. Yeah. And so, wink, wink.
Yeah.
You might want to interact with us. But with all that being said, what would you say, last question, what would you say is the number one takeaway that you've learned or something that you've acquired in the last couple of months in your first year of working here? Because I know that you've been picking up some gold.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, it's just work ethic. Like, you just got to put in the work. Also, something that was new to me coming out here was, I mean, I guess it wasn't fully new, but the only other time I'd ever had to, like, reach out for sales and, like, actually communicate with customers was when I was working for Cutco. Mm-hmm. And then now actually having to reach out to people in order to get in front of them. that transition makes it to where I'm in control instead of the other people being in control and we're just walking in. And so that's been massive, learning that transition. And then also just the confidence that comes along with just knowing what to say, how to say it, why you're saying it, which is probably one of the biggest things. And then just overall flow of a conversation, knowing how to start from point A, go to point B, go to point C, and then effectively moving through the rest of the process.
I love that, dude. And it's, again, something that you've got at a younger age that so many people just don't even have awareness on. So kudos to you, man. I think based on the wisdom that you have and possess currently, we're going to have to bring you back on the show.
Yeah, for sure.
But I'm also going to have to raise the bar now because you've already made the 10K.
Whoa, look, I think there's a bird over there.
I think that you're invited on at 15.
At 15?
15,000 in a month, we bring you back on.
Okay.
And I think we start maybe making that a little pattern as you climb through the ranks of those income levels. And I think that you'll continuously and progressively bring us more and more value to the audience. So, of course, if you would love to help Brock get on the podcast even faster.
If you like me, I mean, that's up to you.
You can definitely reach out to him. Where is the best place for people to find you?
Yeah, so first of all, my Instagram is going to be Brock, BROCK, MW_22. My email is Brock, BROCK @jordanstupar.com. And then my phone number is 262-205-6388.
What if somebody didn't want to call you? Could they text you at that number?
Yeah, they can text me, for
sure.
They
can text you.
And if you want to score some brownie points, shoot me a selfie video.
There we go. Selfie videos are just epic.
Yeah.
People still don't do them.
No.
It's one of the most frustrating things for me is when I'm like, do this. I pretty much guarantee it's going to work.
Yeah.
And then they're like, yeah, sounds good.
I'll try it.
And then 6 months later, I'm like, are you a billionaire yet using selfie videos? And they're like, oh, I haven't really done it yet.
Or they're like, oh, I tried it once and I looked at my hair and I looked funny, so I decided not to send it. It's like
ridiculous.
That's like the breaking it down from being the professional that's like super strict and like by the books, and then like being that little bit of unprofessional.
Yeah.
That's kind of what helps.
That's what really helps.
Yeah.
That's what really helps. And yeah, I mean, we could talk at length about all that stuff, but
for sure.
I really want to introduce Brock to the audience here. And obviously, if Brock brought you some value, if I brought you some value, if you enjoyed this, we would ask that you subscribe, that you like this, you share it, you comment, you give us some feedback, even some bad feedback. If you think this sucked, let me know, because then we can either ignore you or we can make some improvements. And so, guys, we appreciate you listening to the Jordan Stupar Show. This has been another episode, and we are grateful that you tuned in. Obviously, reach out to us with any questions, and of course, make sure to subscribe. We'll talk to you guys next time. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me on, Jordan.
Thanks for being here.